So this would be the vent, and it's called a line vent. A slit is just an opening, and the lining is just stitched to the sides, or may have a thread chain or whatever. But this one, the lining is actually attached to the garment. And a lot of times you'll have that kick pleat or the vent, if it's not lined, and it'll have a stitch across here. But because this have a lining, it is all stitched together to the lining. Therefore, it don't need the stitch across the back to hold it in place. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So first we need to cut the fabric and the lining. You know, the zipper would be in this place. Your pattern would tell you stitch down here, have a notch or a little dot to indicate how far to stitch down. It would have notches to let you know where to hem it at. So we would already have this serge or finish. If you didn't have the serger, I would turn it up and put a little edge stitch, and you might hand hem it up. The other side would be folded back to create this facing, and then stitched across, and it would finish on the inside like that. This one, the same thing. It's stitched down to the zipper, open it into the notch. It'll let you know where to stop at. But when we put these together, wrong sides together, one is attached to this. They are stitched together, and then this would be caught in between. So if I put these two together, right sides together, my hem would fold up and it would get caught in between it. So when it flipped right side out, this edge is finished, the one side. But the other side, how I'm gonna get that to finish over to this side? So I have to take my pattern. This is my sewing line. This is where I stitch these together at. So I stitch these together. That's my sewing line. I would take that and fold it, because you know it's stitched together. Fold it back, and then I would trace it off. That's what I did. I traced this off, transferred to this side. So you will see this on only one of the lining. The other one is going to stay, the one is going to change. And when I fold it back, if I trace this and I cut it right here, it has no seam allowance on it. And since this is just a finished edge, I need to compensate for my seam allowance. So I will use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, or whatever seam allowance you use. And if the pattern say 5/8, then I would have to extend past here 1 1/4 inches, because that's 5/8 I'm adding for this, and it would be 5/8 I'm adding for this. So the two of them would join and meet each other. But I just did a 1/2 inch. So on this angle, I'm gonna measure back 1 inch. That's going to give me a 1/2 inch for this and a 1/2 inch for that, so they'll meet. So if I measure in 1 inch and 1 inch, then I can go and cut this away. And this is going to become my pattern for my lining. Just the one side. So usually the woman's garment buttons with the right side on top, so that's the same way I'm doing this. I don't think it make a difference, but now I would take this. My skirt is already hemmed. So you have your skirt lining already hemmed. So now I made the pattern for my kick pleat, and if I go and cut this out, already hemmed it. And then stay stitching 1/4, 1/2 inch, and clip it to get the little miter. Then I would stitch these. Remember, this one is already stitched. This is stitched. This is my half-inch seam allowance with turn, stitch, stitch down. This is already finished also. So it's going through all the layers. And when we flip this out, then it does finish the whole thing. Because this here would already be finished. This one is folded back. And so then this would be stitched right to there, all the way to the bottom. And then it opens without this. Any questions? It's a lot of steps. It is. It's a lot of steps.
Not in place, but I'm sure I have.
All right, so this is what we're going to start out doing today. Those of you that's not working on the scarf, work on this. Ask all the questions. I'll upload the video so everybody understand the process again. Okay?
Okay.